Welcome to the Church Solutions Podcast, brought to you by JSL Solutions. The Church Solutions Podcast is designed to help equip you and your church in the use of technology and other tools and services. And now, here are your hosts, Steve Lacey and Phil Thompson.
Well, hello. How is everybody doing today? Welcome to the Church Solutions Podcast. This is episode number 7, and my name is Phil Thompson.
And I'm Steve Lacey.
We are here to help encourage you in what you do. We do this podcast for people involved in church ministry work. You may be on staff, you may be a volunteer, you may be thinking about becoming a volunteer. We want to give you resources. We want to enable you from our many years of experience and many years of mistakes we've made that hopefully we can pass on to you so that you don't make the same mistakes we do, right, Steve?
Exactly.
And so we are with a company called JSL Solutions, and we specialize in streaming video. We have streamingchurch.tv. We also have churchapplive.com, which is mobile apps, and we also have one other product, right?
Yes, myflock.com.
Myflock.com, which is what?
Which is a content management system for websites as well as a church management system.
So
manage your giving and that sort of thing.
Right. So Steve is our founding president, our CEO, and I'm just here for the ride. So what we want to talk about today, and again, if you're new to this podcast, we talk mostly about tech stuff, but we do talk about other things because a ton of us here at JSL Solutions really do have a lot of history and a lot of experience working with ministries and churches. I mean, our own churches, our own ministries, as well as other groups we've worked with. And so we want to help you out. That's our goal is to help you, and we can do that in the area of tech, but we also have worked with leadership teams and the basics of church stuff to even a little more elaborate stuff. So that's kind of our background, just in case you didn't know. So today, what are we going to talk about?
Today we're talking about social media. Social media
and how to choose the right social media network for your church.
Right.
That, I'm speaking to we've got a large variety of people listening to us from different cultures, church cultures and all that stuff. But social media, especially if you're a smaller church and you're, really, even if you're a full-time staff person or part-time, it's overwhelming. And a volunteer, it's overwhelming because you've got all these different social networks popping up now. I mean, they're popping up every day, it seems like. And the big ones, of course, are Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, what's the other one? Instagram. And there's other ones, too, out there. I mean, there's Foursquare, whatever. There's just stuff popping up left and right. And it's amazing. So where do you start? What do you do? It's overwhelming. And so we want to try to simplify this a little bit for you and give you some tips on how to choose the right social network for your church, and then also help you to grow that, whatever you choose, and give you some information.
So if I'm a pastor out there and I'm not involved with social media at all, what's one of the first things I would do to start getting involved with this?
Well, I would start with where your people are at. So I would try to find out, what are your members using? Because more and more people are online today. We've gone through those stats. I mean, everybody's online today, at least some degree to another. They're online. Mobile devices and the whole thing. So your job is to determine what are your members using? What social network are they on? And of course, one of the bigger ones is Facebook. 1 billion users now.
Yes.
Facebook. So a lot of people are on Facebook. Obviously, a lot of people are on Twitter. So most of us are familiar.
And the demographic on Facebook is changing too.
That's true. It is changing. They're all changing, which makes this thing a challenge. But again, I would start with, what are the majority of your members on? So, maybe you need to take a little survey. Maybe you need to ask some people, in your church and get an idea. I mean, if they're on Facebook, then I would start with Facebook. Mm-hmm. If you have a group a large group is on Twitter, then I would start with Twitter. Or Pinterest. Pinterest is coming on.
Yeah, and the chances are probably pretty good that most people are on Facebook. I guess it depends on the personality of your church.
Yeah, it does.
It's going to vary.
It is going to vary. Every church is different. So that's the first thing I would do. And then the second thing is, you need to get up to speed on this, which again sounds overwhelming, but it's not too bad. Once you start, doing some of this, you'll catch on. But you do need to, whatever you're most comfortable with would be also an answer to use. So I mean, Twitter is very simple. It's very easy, very simple. So I would actually do both if you can. Do Twitter and something else.
So let's say I chose, I talked to my people and I thought Facebook was where I wanted to start. What would be one of the first things I should start to do as the senior pastor or media manager, or whose job would this be?
Well, it's going to depend on your church. If you are a small church, your staff person may not have enough time to do this. So you might want to find somebody in your church that's on social media, and that's probably not too hard to figure out. I mean, there are people, even if there's just a couple, that really embrace social media. Every church has at least a few. And so I would start with them and say, hey, we know you're on Facebook a lot, which is great. Would you mind helping us with our own Facebook page? So I would start there, and obviously I would,
so you create a page for the church
on
Facebook.
Yeah, I would create a Facebook page for the church. I would not use my own personal page to promote my church or my ministry. I mean, you can promote some things on there, obviously, but I would make it your church's Facebook page. So that's the first thing. You've got to create a page on Facebook, and again, they'll walk you through it. There's lots of tutorials now with Facebook as well as Google, and you can go to YouTube and even see it. How they create an account. And then you'll need to create some administrators, which again, you should probably be an administrator if you're a leader or heading up this area. But you don't have to do it all. You might be able to delegate it to 2 or 3 people, maybe.
Okay.
To be involved.
And then I would assume once you get the page going, then you're going to want to start posting and promoting, right?
You want to, but here's where a lot of people go wrong on all these social media things. They will start posting things, but it's always about the church. It's always about what's going on at the church, okay? And you say, well, of course, Phil, we want people to know what we've got going on. But the rule of thumb is you should probably post one thing about your church and probably 4 other things or more about other stuff, other things that
would be
maybe
of interest.
Yeah, of interest. Stuff that is not necessarily connected to your church, but maybe indirectly connected, or perhaps if you're part of a denomination or something, or part of a group of churches, maybe you could post some interesting things that other churches are doing that kind of go along the lines, or at least something that would fit into your
because you don't want to get people going to your page and go, oh my gosh, all this stuff is all about the church. I'm not quite as interested as I thought I would be, so
right.
I get my fill and I move on. But if you spice it with things that would be appealing, then it becomes a resource for.
Yeah, and again, I know there are people listening going, this is more work. I'm going to have to do this, and I would suggest that you schedule doing this. And when you get this down, it should probably probably take you 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes a day to do.
Right.
And I would schedule it, because here's the other thing. Once you determine what social network you're going to use, and you might start with one and branch out to Twitter and branch out maybe and we'll talk about some of these other ones here in a moment, what they offer, what they don't offer. So stay with me on this. But I would start with being consistent.
Right.
And so again, this is rough, but if you have a schedule, I would schedule it in your calendar.
Right.
Or something where I need to post. And then the next question is, how often do I post? I would post, if you can, ideally 3 or 4 times a week, and even more would be once a day.
If I'm scheduling my time, and that's a best practice that others have taught it or promoted as well. Like Michael Hyatt, I listened to a whole webinar on just focusing on getting your 10 minutes scheduled every day and getting your 10 minutes posted on for the social media.
So it does take some discipline in the sense that but if you're listening to us today, hopefully you've got some kind of an agenda every day that you're doing. Otherwise you're going to be floating all over the world. But I would schedule it and be consistent. And don't worry if people aren't liking it or people aren't responding right now. Just start doing it.
Right.
And do it. I mean, if you can do it every day or at least 5 days a week, that would be great. But at least do it, I would say,
So
3 times a
especially if
week.
you're sharing the admin of your page with others on staff, then it definitely seems like something you could do every day.
I think it is, and again, there's a learning curve in the sense of, and here's where once you learn how to do it, there is the next step is, okay, well, what am I putting on here? Okay, you just told me don't put a bunch of stuff about my church all at once. So I would say, you're going to have to find some resources out there. For instance, we have a Facebook page, streamingchurch.tv. So if you go to facebook.com/streamingchurch.tv, you'll go to our page. Like our page, by the way, and we need to get to that too in a moment.
Yeah,
but
promotion.
Like our page, and if you're listening to this, check us out, like it, and you'll notice what we do is, and we haven't. I'll be honest with you, we haven't been real big at getting a bunch of people to like us, but we are posting every day, and what we post, because we're kind of more tech related, we post a lot of stuff that's kind of related to, if you're somebody that subscribes to us, something that would interest you. So it might not always be about streaming video. It might be about a mobile app. It might be about Apple's got a new computer that's coming out, which is supposed to be not as expensive. So you might have an interest in that if you're listening, or if you're watching our page, So we're trying to put little things in there that would spark your interest. Mashable, is it Mashable.com? Yahoo's got a little tech section. Yahoo.com which is pretty good actually, and there's tech news. So what we're doing is we're going to those places and literally posting other people's material on our page, and then we will generally put once a week something that we're doing.
Right.
Whether it's our podcast or a webinar. Speaking of webinar, we need to mention this on June 25th. So, depending on when you're listening to this, if you're listening to it here within the, we just recorded this today, is what's today, the 18th?
18th, yes.
Of June. So, maybe you're listening a few days later, but June 25th, we're having a free webinar. And
right.
we'll post
and
it
what's the topic of that webinar?
It is how to use streaming video for your church. And it's going to be about a half hour long. It's live, it's free, it's live. So you'll have a chance to even type in some questions for us. We'll show you how to stream, how easy it is. It really is easy, basics. Now that you can go a little deeper, as we've talked about here before, and we'll get into some of that. But in 30 minutes, you'll get a good understanding of what it takes to stream.
Kind of streaming 101, right?
Streaming 101. And if you want to find out more about that, trying to think where the best way to go to sign up, go to newmediaministries.tv. newmediaministries.tv, and we'll have some information on there, or you go to our Facebook page. We'll have information on that. So here I am pushing. We've gotten off track, but we will post something.
So that's a good segue into, let's say I got my Facebook page set up, I got people contributing, then I want to promote it with my church. What's an avenue for that?
Well, again, you want to let people know that you have a Facebook page, so you need to put it everywhere. Just like we've talked about in the past about your website, it should be visible. People should know you have a website. I mean, everybody does today, but I believe you should put it in your publications. Like us on Facebook. I mean, my church, it's in our bulletin every week, little deal that says like us on Facebook, and then it's got our Facebook address. So I'd put it in your bulletin. I'd put it in your newsletter consistently.
Because maybe spice your announcements with it.
Yeah, put it if you've got announcement slides. I mean, you need to get the word out because, as you know, it takes people. They have to see something and hear something multiple times before they respond.
Right.
So you've got to get that out, and then you really want to encourage the people that do like your page, your Facebook page, and this applies to Twitter or Pinterest or anything we're going to talk about here. You want to get your friends to share it with their friends and promote it. It's kind of like the whole idea of evangelism. You want your people to attract other people to come visit the church and share their faith and all that. Well, it's the same way, really. You want people to share your Facebook page, and it again, you're putting things in there that hopefully will interest people. You're posting consistently, and not a ton. Don't post 5 things in 1 hour. You know what I mean? Post something once a day, or if you want to post 2 or 3 times a day, just spread it out. Nothing more annoying. And
there's tools out there for the really ambitious to help you with If you want to post and schedule your posts to go out.
Hootsuite, Hoot, H-O-O-T, Hootsuite.
Yeah, or Buffer is another one, is that right? So,
and that's
tools that'll help you with the whole posting side of things.
You can do, and again, it's up to whatever you're trying to do here. I mean, an easy way to do that would be and even on Facebook and Twitter, you can send something and it will push to another social network. So you can do that, and if you use something like Hootsuite, you can make one post and it's going to go to 8 different social networks. Although some people are not advising that anymore. They're saying, your Twitter crowd may be a little different than your Facebook crowd, so you might want to consider posting something different on your Twitter page. The other thing, while we're kind of jumping around here a little bit about what you should post on Facebook, consider posting images that will attract people's attention. So pictures, let's say your pastor, if you're really on top of things, let's say your pastor, he or she, says a really nice quote or something during their sermon. If you can remember that or take that down, you could post a picture of your pastor with a quote. Use Paint or use GIMP or use Photoshop and put in some text, with the quote under the pastor's picture, or under something else. It doesn't have to be the picture of the pastor. It could be something else that's colorful or something that's attractive, and then you could put the quote. So you can do some creative things by not only your own material from your church, and again, if you want to get elaborate, you could start pushing things that some churches, their pastor's very much out there. That pastor is you've got videos that you can post links to from YouTube, if you're hopefully putting them on YouTube or Vimeo or something like that, or streamingchurch.tv. If you've got videos there, you could put links on your Facebook page. You know what I'm saying? So you'll have to get creative, but if you get it down to what we call a system, life becomes easier. It's a little bit of a learning curve once you start getting in the motion of doing it.
So you mentioned, Facebook was one. Are there other? You're going to walk through some.
Yeah, I was going to walk through a few things.
Some of the others.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Twitter is another. Twitter is very simple. So I would encourage you to get a Twitter account and try to get one with the username of your church or something close to the username. And Twitter is very simple. 140 characters.
People to follow you.
Yeah, and again, you need to get. It's the same deal that we just talked about a couple minutes earlier, and that is anything you're going with, get the word out, and make it so that when people pick up literature, it's whatever you're using is there in the literature. Should be even on your website. You can get little icons that you can drop on your web page, and you can do a lot of things where. When people go to your website, there can be a little deal that says like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter or check out Pinterest, those kind of things. And so Twitter is another option you could use. Again, that's pretty basic, but it does work depending on what part of the world you're in and depending on, again, what your members use. Build off that, and again, consistency is the answer. So Facebook, Twitter. Another one that's categorized under social media now is YouTube. Very popular, and you could do videos if your pastors. If you video that person, you could put little clips on there, or you could put the whole. Depending on your YouTube account status, you could put the whole sermon on there. And then again, you share it with other people. You get the word out on ours.
Yeah, I would think it'd be natural to, especially if you're streaming, if you're with us and streaming, you're going to want to, you could post it to YouTube as well.
You could even put your podcast on YouTube. In fact, I haven't done that. This is episode 7, and we've just started doing podcasts. And by the way, again, getting off the trail here a little bit, but I'd encourage you to go to iTunes, find our podcast under Church Solutions, and then give us a little review. If you're listening right now, give us a little review when you get a chance, and give us a review, and that would help us.
Give us a review, yeah, exactly.
Church Solutions just under iTunes. But what I haven't done yet, and I mean to do it, is I'm going to take this audio and I'm going to put it on YouTube too. We have a YouTube channel, and I'll just put it on YouTube as well. So it'll just be audio, but it's just another source you can use. So lots of different avenues you can do with YouTube. It's very searchable, friendly, and so you could do that. Another social media platform is Pinterest, which is becoming pretty popular now. Pinterest.
So Pinterest definitely has its demographic, right?
It does, but it's changing, like you said earlier. Pinterest used to be just primarily women, and it was, it's pictures. Pinterest is, I don't know how to describe it. Probably should have looked up a definition for it. I have a Pinterest account. My church has a Pinterest account. Streaming Church TV does not have one, although we probably should create one. Pinterest is primarily images and pictures, but I believe you can put video on there, and you can also. Pinterest is again SEO friendly for whatever reason, and they've done these studies where the people that, so if you have a business, let's just say you have a business and you have a bakery, and you're posting pictures of your cupcakes and all these kind of things, they are finding that people will find those on Pinterest, click on them, and then if you've got your information on there, your website and all that stuff, it brings people to your website, and if you're local, brings people to your door. And you can do that with your church. You could post pictures of your church, again, creative pictures, maybe just stuff that's kind of well done. And again, this takes a little more effort, but you may have somebody, and you probably have somebody in your church that loves to take pictures. We've got people in our church that they just love to take pictures, and so we post a lot of it, and some of it's really artistic stuff. And so it attracts people. They're looking at Pinterest and they see something that is interesting, unusual. It could be rainbows, could be baptism, pictures of people being baptized.
So I must admit, I'm not much of a Pinterest user.
I'm not.
And when I was hinting at the demographics, is it largely women?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's largely women. Yeah. As I mentioned, that is changing. There are more people that are. More males are being a part of it, and a lot of these businesses are realizing, hey, this is another way for people to find us. And it's the same way with church. People will find you on Pinterest, and again, put some creative stuff up there.
And so this kind of goes back to the first thing: know your audience.
You need to know your audience.
You've got a lot of women in the church, which every church does.
Yeah, primarily.
Maybe a good match.
Absolutely. So consider Pinterest. It's something to really consider and look at. And it's very simple. I mean, you're just posting images, but you can hyperlink those and put information about your church, your ministry, or whatever it is you're doing, and people can find you there. Instagram is very similar. Instagram is all about images. I have an Instagram account. I see Instagram as more, what I do with my personal account is I just take some pictures and post it. There's people I follow that's on there, and they it's another way to connect with people. But you could also put your church up there and some things, as well. So those are some things to think about. So those are primarily Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram. Vimeo is another, like a YouTube, actually is pretty high quality, and that's another video channel you could use. There's other things. Foursquare is more of a check-in, but you could certainly list your church on Foursquare and have people, your members, check in, and there's some things like that. So again, know your members, and then what your staff or volunteer is comfortable doing, and then remember, content really is king. So whatever you're posting, try to find some interesting content. And again, as we said at the very beginning, if you do a little research and find some stuff that's interesting that may not always be about your church or about your ministry, or if you're listening, maybe you have personal ministry and you're speaking, it's not always about you, but about other related things.
Right.
Put that content in there and make it 20% your church and the other 80% about other things that are kind of related. And you'll find that more people will take an interest in things. But the idea is start somewhere and then be consistent. Don't give up. And if you'll do that, you will find that you'll begin to get some followers.
Yeah, so it does take a little bit of work.
It does. Again, initially, there's that little bit of work and curve, that learning curve. But then if you can get into a routine and get your members or your people helping you, your volunteers helping you in a routine, it will make a difference. Of course, you want everybody on the same page, so you want to make sure everybody knows what they're posting, an idea of what they should be posting, what they probably shouldn't be posting, those kind of things. It really will help your church. So it doesn't have to be as overwhelming as it is. And again, I would start very simple. I'd just start.
And pick one channel and just work it and not try to be all to everybody. And
right.
Just,
And then if you're comfortable with it, and other people want to branch out and do other channels, what we do with StreamingChurch.tv, we have a platform where people can subscribe to our company, and they can stream their services live and on the platform. You have built in social media channels that people can automatically share almost with just a click of the mouse. So somebody watching the service, they can click on the little Facebook icon up in the right hand corner, and they can share it on their page or their church's page or just their friend's page. Hey, check out this.
Right. Actually, it'll stream live to Facebook too.
Yeah, Facebook. You can share it with Twitter. You can share it with email. And so there's again, it's the whole key is getting that stuff out there and doing it in good taste, and you will see some positive. And Google, we didn't mention Google Plus. But Google Plus is there, and Google Plus is also, they were trying to be like Facebook. I think they're kind of changing their strategy a little bit. But Google Plus does have very good searchable, what they call, SEO, search engine
optimization,
whatever, And Google does have that going. So if you can get a Google Plus, if you have a Google account, a Gmail account, you've
got a Google Plus account.
You've got a Google Plus account, and you might consider sharing, and everybody's a little different. And again, there
are devotees to Google Plus over Facebook.
Yeah. Yep.
They're fewer and further between, but they're definitely there.
Humor is always a good thing. We talked about this a little while ago, one of the other podcasts. But humor, there are some really funny church cartoons out there, which really, they're funny and they're in good taste. People like images. People like humor, and I don't have any problem with that at all. As you know, you post humor and it get people.
Yeah, to me it seems like visiting Facebook, it seems like we're getting lots and lots of more. You wouldn't believe what happens next when, a lot of these really big attempts to draw people in to click the link and watch the rest of the video.
And you can pay to anything you post too on Facebook. You can pay to have it what they call boosted. Which, again, I'll let somebody else that's an expert talk about that. I don't know how effective that is. Just depends on what it is. And I think you can even with Twitter, right? You can get some tweets you can boost your Twitter.
Promote it.
And promote that as well. So there are ways to even increase your reachability out there.
With a few dollars, huh?
Yeah, for a few bucks, So, you'll have to, we'll talk, that's a whole nother subject. So anyhow, we're about out of time. If you've got some input on this, I wouldn't call myself, I wouldn't say I'm the expert at social media. We've learned from some good people that we know. But if you've got some ideas or tips or maybe even corrections, we'd love to hear from you. We're not above, hearing from you if you've got a better idea on some of this stuff. Support at StreamingChurch.tv is one way you can contact us. Support at StreamingChurch.tv. And then don't forget about our webinar coming up
on June 25th.
That's 9 o'clock Pacific time, 12 o'clock Eastern time, and it's only going to be for a half hour. It's free, and just go to newmediaministries.tv, and you can sign up. We'll give you a link where you can sign up there.
All right, sounds good. And rate and review our podcast.
Yeah, we need go to iTunes and tell us how good we are, or not. Maybe we're not. So but we'd love to hear from you. So, and again, as Steve and I have always said, if we can help you with anything, that's what we're here. That's part of what we consider our own personal ministry, is helping churches and help you to get to the next level. And we think we have something to offer. So we can help you. We certainly will. Okay?
All right. Sounds good.
Well, Steve, thanks for spending some time with us on this podcast. This has been the Church Solutions Podcast. I'm Phil Thompson.
And I'm Steve Lacey.
And we wish you a great day. Take care. We will catch you next time.